It's on. Okay. Knocking them down, knocking them down. This will be similar to a previous one, I think. This is inspired out of Job. A purpose in suffering. This doesn't sound like a hallmark. I am angry with you and your two friends because you have not spoken the truth about me, as my servant Job has. Ooh, I believe that is God speaking. If you ever want to go read Job chapter 38. I think it's when God finally speaks up, comes on the scene. And who are you to question my counsel? Powerful. Scary. A purpose in suffering. In quotes here. So what you're saying is, it may not be my fault, end quote. The woman's words took me by surprise. Having been a guest speaker at her church, we were now discussing what I'd shared that morning. In quotes, I have a chronic illness, she explained, and I have prayed, fasted, confessed my sins, and done everything else I was told to do to be healed. But I'm still sick. So I thought I was to blame. I felt sad at the woman's confession. Having been given a spiritual formula to fix her problem, she had blamed herself and the formula hadn't worked. Even worse, this formulaic approach to suffering was disproved generations ago. Simply put, this old formula says that if you're suffering, you must have sinned. When Job tragically lost his livestock, children, and health, his friends used the formula on him. Who being innocent has ever perished? Eliphaz said, suspecting Job's guilt. Bildad even told Job that his children only died because they had sinned. Ignorant of the real cause of Job's calamities, they tormented him with simplistic reasons for his pain, later receiving God's rebuke. Suffering is a part of living in a fallen world. That I agree with. Like Job, it can happen for reasons we may never know, but God has a purpose for you that goes beyond the pain you endure. Don't get discouraged by falling for simplistic formulas. Okay. Let me, not saying that I'm disagreeing with this, because it's kind of specific to like health issues or whatever. Suffering is part of living in a fallen world. Like Job, it can happen for reasons we may never know. And like they told Job, oh, this all happened because you're still in sin. But a question you might ask yourself, or you might, what if you're not hearing from God? What if you're not feeling the presence or being led? What if you're not getting that feeling that you should be doing something, or like I said in a previous video, compelled to speak to someone about the gospel? You don't feel very spiritual, okay? That could be because you're not trying to walk a very spiritual life, and therefore you're not getting any assistance, or maybe you're just not paying attention to it, whatever the case is. So I think sometimes because we could be doing something that is our fault, it makes it either easy to ignore the spiritual aspect of this walk, or maybe it's easy for us to be ignored. If we're not putting in the time, if we're not praying and not meditating on reading this and that. I mean, I know a lot of people, and I explain a lot of stuff out of the Bible, they're like, what is this guy talking about? Where there's people I've known that are really, they can pray on something and come up with the answers, and it's hey, God put this on my heart. They got something going on. They're not baloney. These are legitimate people. And you can have that. You got to put your time in. So sometimes if you don't have that, you don't see, you don't feel, you're not experiencing that spiritual part, which it's all spiritual. Forget science and all what reality we're living in. It's all spiritual. If you're not getting, if you don't realize that aspect of your life, if you're not experiencing that, you might need to get out of your own way. Read, pray, meditate on it. I'll leave that one there. Love you. God bless.